Good morning. The Board of County Commissioners meeting is called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In our prayer for the morning, Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligations. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage, that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen. Steve, could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes of May 4th.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. We will move on to our resolutions, and this morning we have Andy Conrad, our county engineer, and standing in for Andy is Josh Wolf.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are we today?
Good.
Okay, have a few. Have three, the first three be to close Chippewa Road, Root Road, and Sterling Road. They'll be single day or 2-day closures for culvert replacements. And then number 4 is we'll be replacing a bridge on Garver Road. Right now is a double 78-inch pipe or something. We'll be putting I think it's a 6x20 box culvert back in. So it'll be a 60-day closure minimum at that point, but that's to go ahead and bid that project. And then there also will be trying to declare a no parking zone along Kennard Road in Westfield Township. If you guys don't know where this is where the eagle's nest is. Had a lot of complaints.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
Yeah, had a lot of complaints lately in that area, and there must be some hatchlings down there right now, and they are having trouble even getting through right now down there. So a lot of watchers down there, and they would like to get some signs up so they'll actually get some people through on Kennard Road. And then we also had our weekly permit list. I believe there was 40 on the permit list this week, so busy week.
Move to approve the 5 resolutions.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any further questions for Josh?
I guess you've coordinated obviously with the sheriff's department to enforce this and the issues, maybe to warn people.
Yes, I think it's just to keep people moving along.
Right. Okay.
I think is the point, and it's not so much just so the passerbys don't just look at it as a full or a free pull-off zone. It is kind of tight in that area anyways. I don't know how familiar you guys are with where that's at.
Actually, Westfield Landing is right around the corner.
Correct.
They could actually go down there and park, and it would be
people could walk down
back,
a lot easier.
Yeah.
And maybe this will encourage them to do that. Right now, the vegetation isn't real full, so you can get a pretty good view of the nest right now, and I think that's what people are taking advantage of. So.
Very good.
But it is becoming a safety issue down
Now,
there.
is this something, since that's Park District land that we're talking about, right, that the people are...
The nest is on Park District. I believe it is Park District.
Is working with the Park District for signage to show them that they can go over to Westfield Landings? And
we could give Nate a call.
Yeah.
We could. I'll have Andy do that. We'll
kind of help
reach out
direct
to
those
them
that have an interest,
Yep.
but make it much more, at least, safe for everyone.
Yep.
And not deny them the
And
ability to maybe...
There's not a lot of people going out on Chippewa Lake while it's snowing.
Well, that's
So
true, yeah.
There
Okay.
may be some parking availability.
Yeah, there
down
might be.
there.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
It may warm up eventually. Right?
Yes. Okay, roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Amy Lyon Galvin, our Assistant County Administrator.
Good morning.
Good morning, Amy.
I have 7 resolutions for your consideration this morning. The first one is amending the appropriation measure resolution. The second is amending the 2021 appropriations resolution by transferring appropriations. The third is authorizing the county auditor to transfer funds for the costs of the county insurance policies. The fourth is authorizing the county auditor to transfer funds from various county department accounts to the Medina County Print Shop revenue line item. The fifth resolution is authorizing cash transfer for the county home levy fund. The sixth resolution is approving the donation of a sheriff cruiser to the Medina County Career Center Board of Education. And the seventh resolution is approving claims for the week in the amount of $1,400,000 $43,383.24.
Move to approve the 7 resolutions.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Amy. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Holly Murin, our Human Resources Director. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning. On our personnel changes resolution, we have 1 new hire in sanitary, 8 rate increases, 1 in maintenance, 3 at county home, 1 at animal shelter, and 3 in sanitary, 2 leave of absence, 1 in sanitary and 1 at office for older adults, 1 suspension in maintenance, 3 resignations, 2 in job and family services, and 1 in maintenance.
Move to approve the resolution.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Next, we have Jeremy Cinco, our sanitary engineer.
Morning.
Good morning,
Good
Jeremy.
morning.
2 resolutions for you today. Authorizing the sanitary engineer to invest the retainer of Fetchco Excavating for the Sharon Township Water and Sewer Improvements Project in an escrow account, and authorizing the sanitary engineer to invest the retainer of Express Underground for the Medina Road Water Main Relocation Project into an escrow account.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Next, we have Stephen Bastine, our facilities director.
Good morning.
Good morning, Stephen.
How are you guys this morning?
You look very nice today.
Well, thank you very much. I have one
Not that you
resolution.
don't every day, but
The jeans on a normal basis, that just doesn't work out quite well. So I have one resolution for awarding the bid to the Human Service Center parking lot for Roniak paving for the amount of $459.18.
Move to approve.
Second?
got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Stephen.
Thank you.
Let's do our commissioner resolutions next, because this fits into the next topic. Or do you want to do these, Laura? I tell you what, why don't you?
do it after, is that okay?
That's fine. Come on in. Yes. So Laura Toth from our Office for Older Adults is going to.
I don't
give us
have
an
any
update.
resolutions. There you go. Good morning.
Good morning.
The first month of our center reopenings has gone just fantastic. We're hosting about 75 people a week in the Medina Center, and Brunswick just started last week, so we don't have a count on what's going on or how many people have come to the activities yet. So we've been hosting activities since April 12th in Medina and the 8th in Brunswick. With the new state orders released last week, staff is no longer subject to testing every other week, which was really wonderful. Participants still have to sign up for activities ahead of time, but we don't have to call them the day before. We were calling everybody to assess their COVID symptoms. We don't have to do that anymore. Participants are still limited, and activities must be scheduled, and the mask order remains in place. We're continuing Zoom activities, but also we can have trips. That's a big thing. We can have trips, so our trips are in place. We work contracts with JKL Tours and Great Day Tours, so we're going to be starting those, I believe, at the end of the month or the first part of June. And there's some, it won't be to capacity. There'll be some distancing in the bus, maybe one person instead of 2 people on a side and things like that. But people are really excited. My
So what
gamblers are really
destinations-
excited.
What destinations do they have?
The gamblers go to all around casinos in Ohio, sometimes out of state. The non-gambling trips, we've done several different things. We do a yearly Amish trip. Sometimes we go to the Indians game. I think that's in July. I believe that's still on. They have done a historical tour of Cleveland, the winery over in Stark County. So they do just several other non-gambling trips, a lot of historical tours and places where they can shop and eat and things like that.
Good.
All the good stuff. I did bring our May and June newsletters. I can have those. We had a really successful last week Mother's Day parking lot bingo. We're hosting these in the parking lot of the Brunswick Rec Center. It's really more, yeah, it's like a pack of two, I'm sorry.
Two different.
It's really more conducive up at the Brunswick Rec because it's kind of out of the way and you're closer to the cars as opposed to where the Medina Center is. It's quite a distance then from the bingo collar to where the cars are parked. So it's worked out better at the Brunswick Rec, and people don't mind. It seems they don't mind coming to Brunswick to play some bingo. It's really fun. So we've had up to 40 people, so that's quite a show for these activities. The next ones are scheduled. There's 2 in 1 week, one for Flag Day on the 14th of June, and then one for Father's Day on the 17th of June. We're also at capacity for signups for the curbside cuisine. The next event for that is this Wednesday, May 12th. But I'm here mostly to talk about Senior Day, which is what the proclamation's about. It is scheduled for next Tuesday, May 18th. It's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the fairgrounds. We have about 25 booths being set up in a bit of a maze, not too hard of a maze, but at the fairgrounds parking lot, the large one off Lafayette. Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging is our event sponsor, and we're providing each participant with a lunch from Honey Baked Ham. We encourage all seniors to fill up their car with people and sign up for this great event. We are doing sign-ups, so you'll have a timed entrance when you come through the booths. I'm trying to figure out how 25 stops in a line. We're like, everybody keep it hopefully to a minute and a half, your spiel, and hand out your stuff. But hopefully this is a one-off, and next year we can be inside the community center with upwards of 500 people like we usually are. But we are excited to get out there and to see the seniors and to have this event next week. So everybody pray for good weather, because it is rain or shine, which I have found that for the bingo too. They don't care. They're in their cars, so it'll be us in our rain suits. But hopefully we won't have to do that. May is Older Americans Month.
Laura, I hate to tell you,
yeah.
my phone says it's a 40% chance of rain next week.
It's going to go down. It's going to go down.
That'll change.
Yeah. And hopefully you guys can stop out.
So now they stay in the car.
They do.
And so the booth sponsor, they'll come to the
Yep.
car and talk to the people, provide them whatever giveaways and things like that.
Correct.
Tell them a little bit about their services.
Yes, and these have been done on a small scale, nothing quite to success, but nothing quite this big. So we'll see how it goes.
So they should budget maybe an hour?
I would think so, yeah, to get
through it
through
all?
and get their
Okay.
lunch and everything, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully it's cool. May is Older Americans Month, and next Tuesday is Senior Day, so I know that you have a proclamation if you want to do it now.
Sure. So we have a resolution here proclaiming May 2021 as Older Americans Month and May 18th, 2021 as Senior Day in Medina County. And I'll read it. Medina County, Ohio includes a growing number of older Americans who have built resilience and strength of their lives through successes and difficulties. Medina County benefits when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are included and encouraged to share their successes and stories of resilience. Medina County recognizes our need to nurture ourselves, reinforce our strength, and continue to thrive in times of both joy and difficulty. Medina County can foster communities of strength by creating opportunities to share stories and learn from each other, encouraging or engaging older adults through education, recreation, and service, and encouraging people of all ages to celebrate connections and resilience. Be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Medina County, Ohio, we do hereby proclaim May 2021 to be Older Americans Month and Tuesday, May 18, 2021 to be Senior Day in Medina County. The Commissioners urge every resident to recognize older adults and the people who support them as essential contributors to the strength of our community.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Thank you,
Thank
Laura.
you so much.
It'll be a great day,
Super.
don't
It
worry.
Yes,
will be a
It'll
great
be
day. Is
super.
that one mine?
You want this one right here.
Is that pretty one mine? Thank you so much. Because we will display this. Have a great month. Hope to see you next Tuesday.
Thanks.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, let's move on. Phil Titterington, our Alcohol, Drug, Addiction, and Mental Health Board Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for giving me the time and the opportunity. Take a little minute. My name is Philip Titterington from the Adam Board, and just to provide you with some updates on some of the good work that we're doing, and the reason we're able to do it is because of those levy dollars. So today I just want to highlight a couple of the programs, services, and supports, and basically with two categories, talking about the mental health and crisis supports, as well as the recovery supports. As we probably all agree, mental health and crisis supports are needed now more than ever, and we've seen that increase. And through levy funds, we were able to provide additional funding to our contracted agencies to make sure that there's capacity in those services. And once again, nationally, it's reporting that we're only seeing a fraction. The effects of this pandemic are going to go on for years and years and years, and it's going to hit youth all the way up through. So we're doing our best, and we have a great team, and we have great agencies that we're able to purchase services from. So in the first quarter of calendar year 2021, through the agencies in our continuum of care, which includes satellite offices in Lodi as well as in Brunswick, we had the following number of individuals that are active in services. So for these first 3 months, Ohio Guidestone has 773 clients. They're active in services. Of that, 57% are adults and 43% are youth. Alternative Paths has 4,588 clients who are active in services. 93% are adults, 7% are youth. Catholic Charities, another contracted agency, had 101 clients. They are active in board services. 89% are adults, 11% are youth. So to put that in perspective, this equals 5,462 total clients being served in the first quarter. 88% are adults, 12% are youth. So as you can see, our agencies are working hard. They're serving a lot of clients, a lot of residents in Medina County. The Human Services Levy is critical. It has allowed us to fill the gaps not converted, or fill any gaps that we have seen. So, for example, we use the funding to help fund the 24/7 Crisis Behavioral Helpline, and that's operated through Alternative Paths. So in the first quarter of 2021, there were 917 calls or engagements through that phone line and that service. 69 individuals verbalized suicidal thoughts. There were 24 active rescues. What that means is that a staff who answered the phone coordinated rescue activities for that individual's safety. 33 referrals were made from law enforcement for crisis intervention, and there were 2 mobile responses in which we actually dispatched a mental health worker with law enforcement to go and help that individual. In addition, the Adam Board has 44 supportive housing units serving Medina County residents who have mental illness. Through a partnership with Medina Metro Housing, we are able to serve these individuals through those units. And if we didn't have those units, they wouldn't have any other place. So by serving those individuals, we also have contracts with Alternative Paths to provide mental health and other type of case management services. Through this first quarter, Alternative Paths contracted with the Hope Recovery Community, and we added peer supporters to the 24/7 crisis team. So when an individual calls on that crisis behavioral health line and it's appropriate, they are linked with a peer supporter to help them navigate through that system. In addition, during that quarter, we were able to, Alternative Paths contracted with Hope Recovery Community to provide peer support services in the jail as well, to assist the inmates that are there, especially those that are transitioning out. So that's been very successful. The service just started in March, so early on, 6 callers were referred to peer support from the crisis line, and 3 were connected with the jail, and once again, that's in March. During this period, approximately 420 youth that are diagnosed with serious emotional disturbance, so these are your real high-risk youth, are currently receiving services on our continuum. So as of now, that's 420 youth are being served. There are approximately 1,500 adults and 240 youth who are currently receiving psychiatric counseling or assistance. Of those, you can, it's safe to say over 90% are receiving some type of medication through that service. So just jumping down then quickly into the next category, recovery supports. So we've been able to use the levy funding to build support and expand the infrastructure and a comprehensive, effective recovery support system, especially through Hope Recovery Community. They continue to operate out of a house that the Adam Board had purchased and renovated on Highland House. They have a total of 10 certified peer recovery supporters in a partnership with Ohio Guidestone as well as the Hope Recovery Community. And it's important to note, certified peer recovery is very important. They have to go through a state certification, and that allows a couple things. One is it teaches them best practices, and two is it's able to, if that peer supporter is an employee of a certified behavioral health or provider, you can draw down Medicaid to help offset that costs. So you're looking at, if they're at a 50% productivity, 50% they can draw down from Medicaid for those services, and the other is going to be from a grant, either from the Adam Board or from funds that they receive through fundraising or others. So right now, there are 7 peer supporters under Guidestone, and they're serving 168 residents. So that kind of puts into perspective. We also use levy fundings to help fund operational expenses for Hope Recovery Community. I mentioned that Hope Recovery Community is partnered with Alternative Paths to provide peer support in other areas. And another unique to actually this state, Hope Recovery Community has created a family support peer support program, so that there is help and assistance for families who are struggling with an individual in recovery or addicted. Right now, everything's geared towards the addict, but moving on, and I believe that the only other program is operational in Pennsylvania. So that's very innovative, bringing these experiences to Medina County, and that's really just shows how good Medina County is, and the collaboration, the innovation, and getting out in front of it. Hope Recovery Communities teamed up with the Medina County Jobs and Family Services to partner in their Ohio Start program. So you have individuals who were involved with JFS who are addicted to drugs or alcohol, and they're able to partner with a peer supporter to help, once again, them navigate through the system and other resources. We also, through the levy funds, able to assist Kathy's House, which is, as you know, our certified recovery house that's operating in Medina and has been for many, many years, and they serve both women as well as male beds, and we were able to help them expand that. They serve 11 male and 7 female. Just jumping right back to Hope Recovery Community to put into perspective, in the first quarter, in those first 3 months, Hope Recovery Community was able to link 97 individuals to detox, residential treatment, or recovery housing. So 97 in the first 3 quarters, and that's just through Hope Recovery Community. So you can see that that community is making a big and a positive impact. And then also we had medication-assisted treatment, which is another form of harm reduction, another form of assistance for those who are opioid addicted or alcohol addicted as well. 87 individuals received medication-assisted treatment through Ohio Guidestone or Alternative Paths. So the capacity is there. If you remember 3-4 years ago, we didn't even know what medication-assisted treatment was. Now, I think throughout the county, throughout the agencies that are there, if people need it, they can get into it very quickly. And then finally, in relation to the recovery supports, we're hopeful that our 12-bed women's recovery house called the Discovery Recovery House, we anticipate taking our first clients, our residents, on the week of June 7th. So with COVID, it was difficult, and then with workforce, it was difficult, but we're at a point now where all the positions are hired, And the plan then is on June 7th, we're working with MMHA. Ohio Guidestone is the agency that we are contracting with to run it. We're going to start accepting women into that bed. The goal potentially is, depending on the need in the near future, women who have children perhaps that are in this situation, the house is set up to handle that as well. We'll see how that need goes. So really, in closing on this end, because of the Human Services Levy, I think you've seen that we've been able to fill gaps, and more importantly, serve the residents. So we are very grateful for all the support and the levy dollars. I can take questions on any of these numbers if you wish, but I'd also like to have some of the time in speaking on behalf of the Housing Network. With me is Skip Sipos, the Executive Director for the MMHA, and we want to talk a little bit about another initiative with the homeless prevention activities as well. So I'll leave it up to you. You want to jump into the homelessness, or if you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Phil?
No.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So then there's a handout. Go ahead. I'll give you a handout while Skip's up here. Am I allowed back here?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Phil.
Don't let it beat you. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for this time. I appreciate it. We're going to share with you some information, the handout that you have, as well as what I'll talk about briefly. Beforehand, though, Commissioner Hambley, I think this is the first time I've been here this year. So on behalf of the Housing Authority, its board, and its staff, congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome back. The Housing Network, gentle reminder, was formed in 2004. The purpose to be an advisory group to you, the Board of County Commissioners, on all issues of affordable housing. First, let me share something you probably already know. It's heartwarming for me. The residents and organizations in this county are extremely thoughtful and caring and generous. Over the years, a variety of nonprofits, houses of worship, individuals have helped people who faced housing crises, typically homelessness or people at risk of homelessness. Operation Homes, Love Inc., many others have done this heavy lifting. Lots of individual churches, through deeds of mercy and other things, have cut checks to help people avoid actual homelessness. Units of government, the organizations Phillip Funds, the Housing Authority itself, JFS, Veterans Services, the County Commissioners through the County Commissioners Homeless Fund, and the 3 cities also provide assistance to folks facing housing crises. The cumulative amount of that is hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. Second, sadly, there is no comprehensive or coordinated collaborative process to provide this assistance. People are doing it, the organizations are doing it on their own. Though it's well-meaning and it's generous, the system fails to provide what we'll call comprehensive benefits to those in crisis. The resources aren't coordinated in such a way that benefits that individual best opportunity for success. There are models for this which can be found in other jurisdictions nearby. So finally, taking all of this into account, the Housing Network Subcommittee that Philip and I serve on, we believe there's a 3-prong approach to addressing this. The first is simply to retain a consultant to gather and analyze the data of all these dollars being spent to help people in crisis. The Housing Authority has identified an individual for this task who's highly regarded as an expert here in Ohio on homelessness, and is equally strong as an advocate for those facing these types of crises. The Housing Authority will engage this consultant later this week and will pay for that on its own. That analysis could result in the determination that we need a homeless shelter in Medina County. It could result in us trying different other best practices used to address people in crisis. It could be a combination. But clearly we need to study this, because right now, and I liken it this way, and some of the room have heard me say this before, when there's an abused child, there's a protocol. Child Protective Services, law enforcement knows they can reach out and that we've got a protocol in place. Got a stray dog. Pick up a stray dog. What do? Animal shelter. Right now, sadly, there's no protocol in place if there is a person who is on the street. Second, whatever crisis response, and that's what we would call that. That's the crisis response, getting that person sheltered. Whatever crisis response recommendation goes forward and that we develop, shelter, some combination thereof, has to be met with a rapid rehousing model. Rapid rehousing is this: when someone is sheltered, that gets them off the street, that takes care of the first immediate need. But the thing we need to do is address the root cause of the homelessness in the first place. Why are we having these challenges for these individuals? Some of those are vocational challenges. Our friends across the hall at Economic Development will tell you, you got 500 manufacturing jobs here in the county that need to be filled. Linking people with those, that may help. Some folks are homeless simply because of addiction to alcohol or other drugs. Some have developmental or intellectual disabilities that need to be addressed. Oftentimes, through wraparound intensive case management services, we can address those. Can't do that in a congregate setting in a shelter. It's best if we can get them into a housing unit that offers the opportunity for stabilized living, those services to be effective. Candidly, it offers some dignity to the individual. That's rapid rehousing. Last and most important is the idea of permanent supportive housing. Philip mentioned that they have some housing units. Some of that is federally funded. We have federally funded programs for permanent supportive housing. That means it's housing for folks who have federally qualifying disability and are street homeless. Our programs are full. So we need to revisit the idea of adding to that inventory. So the Housing Network Subcommittee's got 3 recommendations. First one's pretty simple. It recommends that you, the commissioners, support the homelessness consultation process with active participation. I know Commissioner Hambley has been at some of the meetings. I know through Habitat we have other involvement, but we ask for you to support that. The second recommendation is the use of American Rescue Plan funds. If the recommendations come back that we are to build, whether it is shelter or rapid rehousing units, not necessarily build or buy rehab, whatever, that you may consider using those funds if they're best used for that purpose. And finally, a little bit selfish for the Housing Authority, I ask that the commissioners revisit the concept of donating the 0.42 acre parcel of land that is adjacent to the Juvenile Detention Center and fronts onto Lafayette Road. I can assure you that we have been in consultation with the city of Medina, and we are looking to use that site because we believe we can develop at least 5 more units of permanent supportive housing there. But the donation of that land could also help us leverage other resources, and we are actively looking at additional parcels where that 5 could turn into as many as 10. I'm going to close by telling you that the momentum on this, I've been at the Housing Authority 27 years. I've never seen momentum like this. You've got clergy, you've got laity, you've got organizations, nonprofit, government, the whole bit. You have stakeholders, elected officials who are being supportive of this initiative. It's pretty amazing. And I know you all know that State Representative Sharon Ray recently found a way to get into the state budget, hopefully it comes into law, for some money for you all to designate to help study what we're talking about here, the issue of homelessness. I am unbelievably optimistic, and I am confident that with your help, it's all going to come to reality. And Philip and I can take questions on this. I can go home.
Skip, how many housing units does Metropolitan Housing have in Medina County?
We manage over 550, well, it will be, since the place opens in Wadsworth, a little over 550.
Okay, and they're all full?
Always. Always.
Okay.
Long waiting lists. Many lists are closed.
Okay, so the housing that you manage is all the last category, the permanent housing, is that correct? Or is it transitional?
We have the widest of portfolios. Some are designated for seniors. Some are for seniors who are 62 and older. Some are for seniors who are 55 and older. We have units that we manage on behalf of the Adam Board. We have units that are just market rate for families. People can earn up to 80% of the county median income. So we have tried to grab resources to plug in where housing is needed. The housing units we're developing in Wadsworth right now will be 45 units of family housing designed to be workforce. We're hoping that the people that come to live there will also help fill some of these jobs. And again, the income limit there goes up to over 70% of the county median income. So it's not necessarily for those at no income or very low income. We've got a wide variety. We do have permanent supportive housing units we manage on behalf of the Adam Board, though.
Okay, so Do you have an idea of how many units we need?
There's really no way for us to answer that
Isn't
question.
the purpose of the study is to evaluate not only that, but also the need for the, as you say, the rapid response, the drop-in shelter, and also evaluate what the current homelessness coalition is doing. I know Mayor Hanwell's here, and he's had those, as well as you've attended those meetings, where essentially they are kind of running this because of COVID. They're paying for hotels and so forth. So I think isn't the purpose of study is to evaluate that and see ultimately what our inventory needs to be and what populations we're trying to serve. Would that be accurate?
Yes, Commissioner Hambley, I think the study, the consultant is going to focus primarily on those facing housing crises.
Right. Yeah.
But from the Housing Authority's perspective, our strategic plan calls for us to continue to add units as resources are available.
Oh, go ahead, Colin.
Do you have an approximate cost what a shelter would? No, we have no plans or approximations.
No, and that, for me, and it's the cart in front of the horse kind of a thing. What we want to make sure that this consultant does is analyze the data properly so that we can determine the appropriate response, which could be a shelter, and then make sure that it's sized correctly and located appropriately.
I mean, the trouble is basically the system we've had in place for over a decade in evaluating what those numbers are. And we know we have that homeless count that is done, but it's done in the winter. We don't have the traditional, and yet at the same time, there are a number of people that are not captured by that data. They end up going that our various churches and so forth are providing housing. So I think that's the purpose, is trying to bring these all together. And thankfully, and as Skip well knows, when we formed the housing network, we were, I think, good with the public sector, good with the nonprofits, but we really didn't have the churches. We didn't have the faith coalitions that you do now. Now we really do, and I think Skip is absolutely right. Now we've been able, actually, with Mayor Hanwell's help, and the church has been able to come up with actually a very comprehensive group to actually have input on developing a plan that is much more comprehensive and involves I'll say diverse group of stakeholders, not only we talk about the Adam Board and so forth, the public sector, the nonprofits, and also the faith-based community, and I'll just say your average citizen that is actually interested in assisting this. And this is a real opportunity to take these resources.
I support these three requests, and I supported last year the donation of the piece of property, and I support that again.
The one thing I would add to, and I know it's not part of the study, and I know the sheriff is here, and it needs to be part of the conversation, is dealing with and it would probably have to be certainly a separate facility. It's one we did try to address over a decade ago, when we looked at homelessness and we said, well, we're going to deal with prevention first because we didn't have a levy. There wasn't all these other resources and the follow-through, but to deal with those that are leaving the jail population and not having a place within the community. And we need to have that discussion too, and be able to make sure that it certainly reduces recidivism. It reduces, obviously helps them reintegrate into society, and many of them, they end up because of their behavioral issues, and they are returning to the community. We don't make sure they don't return to those patterns. And housing is an important component for some of those people, and I think that's likewise has to be part of the conversation.
And if I may, Commissioner, currently in partnership with the jail, as well as through Alternative Paths and the Adam Board, we have a community linkages program where they have staff, and this is definitely one of those pieces that's on that is part of the conversation, because as they transition, sometimes they have to go to a different homeless shelter. Sometimes they are put up somewhere else, but yes, definitely part of the conversation.
All right.
Thanks. Skip, do we have an idea? My understanding is that when they did the homeless counts, which they do in January typically, probably not the best time of the year to do it, but that there were a lot of folks that were missed because they were actually being housed in a hotel in various places, so they were not part of the count. Do we have an idea how many sort of
No, and herein lies a
magnitude?
challenge. So, I'm sure you can appreciate this. So if I've got, 10 churches who are writing individual checks, and I got a couple different Salvation Armies doing the same thing, and I have my own organization, we track ours. Ours is in the State Homeless Management Information System. It's in a database. But if all these other folks aren't sharing that information with us, because again, they're generous, thoughtful, and caring, it's just not coordinated. The purpose of getting that consultant to give us a ground plan, if you will, game plan, to pull the data together, that's going to help us understand what the real need is and the demand, whether or not you need something like this or something like this. Again, it should be very short term. And you had asked earlier how many units we have. Those are housing units. We assist over 1,200 households each and every month, either with rental assistance or a rental unit. So the Housing Authority, and I was listening to Philip's numbers earlier, it's like, these are our neighbors and family members. So it's a challenge to meet these things, but gathering that data will really help us do it.
And if I may, and the challenge, especially for me when I sit on these meetings is, and I think you can probably relate, is when we're doing the homeless count, there is a federal definition for what homelessness is, airby or ergo, whatever, then the assistance goes with them through federal. But what this study and what we've seen is we have individuals who are in a crisis that maybe don't meet that definition, but they meet the definition for Medina County for what we know. They're sleeping on a neighbor's or their friend's couch. They're in and out of hotels back and forth. They may not meet that homeless definition. Okay, so maybe they don't have or have the ability to get that particular funding. But the great thing about Medina County, as you've heard, is there's a lot of collaboration going on. There's other funding pots that maybe if we put it all together and it's comprehensive, that we can serve that.
Any other questions?
No, obviously, very much supportive of this and moving forward. We've had this discussion, as I've reported back from the Homeless Coalition and what's going on with the housing network. And we can't start this too soon.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Mayor, did you want to make any comment about this topic, or I'm not sure? No?
No, I think that they very adequately covered it. I was approached actually by the churches. Do you need me to come up?
Sure,
Yeah,
if you would.
Yeah.
Mayor of the city of Medina.
Yes, sir.
Dennis Hanwell.
Thank you. So I was approached by Love Incorporated and the pastor of Grace Church out on 18 by our airport, and they were being overwhelmed with the need at hotels to put people up. So I asked Skip, Philip, and we invited as many churches as we could and the Salvation Army. And then as we listened around the table, each church, as Commissioner Hambley has said, each church is doing it. The Salvation Army is doing it. Love Incorporated is doing it. But nobody is a community aggregator of the data. And when Skip brought up that he has that database already, part of that meeting was to encourage them, even if you help them, get that data to Skip. So either the helped person can reach out to them to provide more detail, and are there other things we could help them with? But the other thing is to just get a handle of the numbers we're dealing with. So we're trying very hard, but it's not a community or county-wide solution. That's really the study. I think will help with that. And I know, as mentioned, the only other thing I'd like to mention. Well, two things. One is I represent the commissioners on the Adam board. I had for 8 years, and then I had to sit out because there's term limits. And now I'm back in a second round, and thoroughly appreciate all that they're doing. And secondly is I talked to Sharon Ray about the $100,000 request, and then I talked to Senator Romanchuk as well, and asked for his support. And he, on behalf of the senator, I will share with you, he said he would support it if it passes through the House and gets to them. So that's $100,000 that if it all passes would be available to us. So I appreciate everything you're doing.
Yeah, the Senate amendments are actually due this week on that, and I talked to Romanchuk on Saturday, and he
Yes,
confirmed
sir.
that he's going to be supporting keeping it in there.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's the important, that's the two-step.
Right.
If we get in this, it stays in the Senate version, then it's all the more likely not to be taken out by any conference committee. So
Yes, sir.
That's
Okay, thank you.
super.
Thank you, Mayor. And thanks for your service on the Adam Board on behalf of the commissioners. We appreciate it. Skip or Phil, anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in and sharing with us this morning.
Sheriff, did the sheriff want to say anything about I guess his population, where I was referring? Did you want to say anything about your involving the issue about those that are transitioning out from the jail to the community?
Thank you. I think you mentioned our concerns, but I do want to piggyback on what Skip said. I know firsthand about the issues that go on at the hotels, whether it's the schools also help families and that. So those numbers are a valid point, that they're out there, especially at the local hotels. And the other thing, not just the sheriff's office, but all Medina County law enforcement occasionally runs into individuals that are homeless. And so what are we doing? We're taking them out of the county over to Summit County to that shelter.
Haven of Rest.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we're taking out of their home county, and we're taking our resources out of our county too. So I certainly appreciate the work they're putting into it, and that's why I have an interest, as you and I spoke. I think it's something certainly worth looking into, and I appreciate the mayor's work too.
And that's a good point. When we studied this over a decade ago, we were and looking at it, is that homeless count doesn't take into the people that are homeless that are actually have been able to find a shelter in Summit County or even in Wayne County. They've got a shelter. When we visited Haven or Rest, I was asking them do they have an inventory, at least the number that they could tell us how many came from Medina County. At that point in time, they said, well, they can't share that and so forth, but that's one of those things is difficult to get that number sometimes because those people, as you point out, are actually either law enforcement takes them over there, or they find their way to there, but they're coming from they actually had previously been in our county, and then they find their way to where actually there is someplace they can go. And that's not an urban homelessness problem, it's a rural homelessness problem.
You're absolutely right. And again, this county is fortunate because we have so many people that want to help.
Yeah.
And the schools are a very intricate role in that. I know locally they really do help out a lot of families that are struggling. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was Terry Grice, our Medina County Sheriff, by the way.
I don't introduce us.
Skip, one other question. You referred to engaging a consultant to begin this study.
Yes, sir.
Any idea of a timeline?
This summer, three months is basically what we think we'll need to pull the data together and analyze it. Depends how great the data is, but we're thinking this summer to be able to have recommendations going forward.
Okay. And I'm only thinking ahead because the American Rescue Plan money has a definitive deadline out, I think 2024. I don't know if it's the beginning or the end, but anyhow.
I think it's
so
December 24th.
in order to consider using any of those funds, it's going to have to move along quite rapidly.
Yeah, time is of the essence in your
Right.
profession. So we recognize that, but we also want to keep this, the momentum alive. So we're not going to drag our feet, I can assure you of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming in and sharing. Next up, we have John Burke, our County Treasurer. Good morning, John.
Morning.
Morning.
Just wanted to inform you, today we're launching the Fix a Fund program again. And of course, this has been a real popular program since we started it in 2002. And it's to repair and remodel homes at low interest home improvement loans that we have partnered with Westfield Bank again. These are fixed rate interest rates, 5-year loans. And just to go over the key points, unlike like CHIP grants and some other things, this has no income limit, okay? You are limited by the value of your house, $250,000 according to the auditor's appraisal values. But that's not your property, so it's just the house. They can be $5,000 to $50,000, and it's a fixed-rate 5-year loan. Westfield tells me that it depends on individuals' credit rating, of course, but they're going to be at 2.75% for good credit rating. So that's a really great loan. If you look around at other banks, they're mostly equity line loans that are variable. You don't see fixed. So this is a good product for homeowners. It includes almost any type of improvement: painting, wallpapering, flooring, plumbing, carpeting, exterior home things like siding, roofing, driveways, sidewalks. A couple things you can't do are things that are not permanent to the property, which would be like satellite dishes, hot tubs, swimming pool above ground. But almost everything is included in possibilities for improving your homes. One thing, too, you cannot be delinquent on your taxes. So if you're delinquent on your taxes, you need not apply. But if you're current, you can apply for the loan. And actually, looking at that $250,000 value, it looks like we estimate that 90% of the homes in Medina County would be eligible for this program. So since 2002, we've loaned $14.5 million to about 1,000 homeowners. And we've also tracked where those dollars go. 80% of it, actually 84% of it, comes right back into the community. They spend those dollars with local businesses. So it's really a win-win for a very, very good interest rate for the homeowners. It's good for the county. It's good for local businesses. It's been a very good program all the way around. So if you want to apply, you can check with Westfield Bank. The two branches that handle this for them are their Medina branch and the Westfield branch. You can also look at our website, medinacountytreasurer.com, and you can download a form there. You can also pick them up from our office. And if there's any questions, you can call our office at 330-725-9746. I should mention, too, that this program is pretty well spread throughout the county over the years. Actually, the figures are $2.6 million of that 14.5 went to home improvements in Brunswick, $1.6 million went to Wadsworth, $2.6 million to Medina City, and the other $7.7 million was scattered around the county and the township. So a pretty nice spread all over the county of this type of program and improving the home values and upgrading homes. Any questions?
It's been $250 for a while. You think it'll ever increase in years to come since home values have increased?
Well, actually, when I give you my report, because just for the public, this was an approved program by the commissioners. I report to the commissioners every December on what the program did that year. We will consider that this year because we haven't increased that $250 for quite a few years now. And
so is that an election that we all make about the level?
Yeah, the program, I would propose it to you since you approved the program initially, and it is a county program.
That doesn't include the land.
No, it doesn't include the land. It's just the house value.
Just the house value.
But as we have seen through the building department, I mean, my gosh, the new home prices are, what, $470 now?
Yeah.
And when you look back,
range,
just like 4 years ago, it was $299. That's building supplies, and that directly affects this program. So, yeah, I would recommend that, when we look at this in December, when I get a final year report to you, we tackle that issue.
And what's the amortization period?
5 years.
5 years, okay.
Yeah, it's a 5-year loans. And actually, we have quite a few people pay them off early. And we've also had several people that actually have taken out a loan after they've had one previously, which is allowable too. I should mention too that this is for homes, but they can be multifamily homes. They can also be rentals or a small apartment, but it can't be more than $250,000 value of the building.
Right.
So, but no commercial.
Excellent.
Now, when we started this in 2002, I think we were one of the first ones to do this, obviously, for
Yeah.
the residential. But now that has expanded to other counties, correct?
Yes, in fact, the last count I had, I helped Portage start theirs 2 years ago, and Summit just started it this last year. They actually had it before Summit did, but it was for actually businesses, and it was just commercial, and it just didn't go very well, I guess. So they stopped doing it. Now they're doing the residential like we did. Actually, Jim Rakakis, who used to be the treasurer of Cuyahoga County, he started this probably about 1996. I know I went down to testify on behalf of the Treasury Association and Jim when they passed it through the legislature. But it's a linked deposit program is what it is. Yeah. And we've had those around for a long time, about 25 years. But right now I think it's 5 counties in the state out of 88 have this program.
Yeah, he moved on to land banks.
Yes, he's the land bank, the land bank king now. Yes. Yeah,
another good innovation.
Right.
Yeah, it seemed that we had a bunch of properties coming up for tax foreclosures this year. Maybe you ought to relook at land banks.
Well, we did that, and I gave you my report before.
I know. Yep.
Well, we got to revisit it.
Yeah,
I wasn't here, so.
Yeah. Well, we can do that.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, you've got to have the enough properties, and we have share sales, but not like we used to.
Yeah.
I mean, last year we had 97, and half of them paid up, and it went down to 37, I think, that our prosecutor handled.
Yeah, and I don't think we have that many this year, but there's a few.
Yeah, and even with the and if it goes there, then it goes to the auditor sale, and right. We only had 7, and 4 continually are on that never get sold. So
there's some forecasts. I've attended a webinar. They're predicting that actually some of the land banks in Ohio are going to be moving into the commercial properties. But because what's been going on with COVID and the dramatic reduction in demand on commercial space and so forth, so there going to have to be some way of keeping those properties or getting them back on the tax rolls.
Yeah.
And finding a way to do that.
And
I think a couple of those parcels that have stayed on the list that have like strict EPA requirements and stuff.
Yeah, especially one.
Them.
Yeah.
So even if you purchase them for free, they're a huge cost because of some of the requirements.
Well, that's the one you don't purchase.
Right.
Yeah. They have to be delinquent on their taxes, right. And they have to be an abandoned property, and so there's certain requirements. Sure. But like I reported to you, I called every township, every city, and
there's just not a lot of them.
We came up with
a volume in Medina County like there is in Cuyahoga and Summit.
And they have a lot worse blight on commercial property too, and growing. So, yeah, a lot of them, the large counties, it was built for large counties with massive property problems and blight. And they've got it with commercial property too. And those, they actually form, it's a really business basically. And you have to maintain those properties, and it's for those counties. It's a big, expensive situation.
Right.
But luckily, we're not in that scenario right now. And I don't see us getting there. But, anyways, this is a great program to improve your home values and spruce up. I actually think that the COVID situation helped us because we had double the number of loans last year than we did the year before. I think people are sitting at home more, and they're looking around, and they say, wow, I think I better fix this, or I want to do this, and consequently...
That's why building materials are so scarce these days.
That's why it is quadrupled in price, I just read, the building materials. So another reason to look at maybe increasing that value that we have on the houses this next time around. Okay?
All right, very good. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we have a few more resolutions here to go through. I'll take this next resolution separately. This is a resolution proclaiming May 2021 as Community Action Month. Community Action has made essential contributions to individuals and families across the nation by creating economic opportunities and strengthening communities. Community Action is a robust state and local force connecting people to life-changing services and creating pathways to prosperity in 99% of all American counties. Community Action builds and promotes economic stability as an essential aspect of enabling and enhancing stronger communities and stable homes. Community Action promotes community-wide solutions to challenges throughout our cities, suburbs, and rural areas. Community Action delivers innovative services and supports that create greater opportunities for families and children to succeed. Community Action insists on community participation and involvement, ensuring that all sectors of the community have a voice and will be heard. Community Action is celebrating 57 years of innovation, impact, and providing proven results for Americans. Be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Medina County, who hereby proclaim May 2021 as Community Action Month in recognition of the hard work and dedication of all Medina County community action agencies.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Moving on, we have a resolution appointing a member to the Medina County Advisory Council on Aging and Disability, and that is Jean Fatal. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Second resolution is appointing the local emergency planning committee for Medina County. And those members are on the attached list. And the next resolution is approving the filing of an F-Class temporary permit application to allow the sale of beer during the 2021 special events at the Medina County Fair.
Move to approve all three resolutions.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. And then I have two notices here of liquor permit filings. Received a new liquor permit request from Hinckley Properties, DBA Buzzard Code, located at 1053 Bellis Road, Hinckley, Ohio. The permit classes are D1 and D2, which is beer and wine for on-premises consumption and sale in sealed containers until 1 a.m. The next liquor permit is a request from Yours Truly of Mayfield, Inc., DBA Yours Truly of Medina, located at 3725 Medina Road, Medina, Ohio, and this is a D5 and D6 license. It is for spirituous liquor on-premises consumption only, beer and wine for off-premises or on-premises, on-premises or off-premises in sealed containers, and sale of intoxicating liquor on Sundays. And we read those into the record just for that purpose. Could I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss employment of a public employee? We'll do that after discussion session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. And we'll move into discussion. We have Mayor Hanwell with us this morning, and I would like to tee up, and Mayor, feel free to come up. The city passed their initiative last week that enables them to move forward with placing the Medina Municipal Court in the 1969 portion of the county courthouse. And so I'll turn it over to Mayor. You want to say a few words? And
Thank you, sir. First, I'd like to thank each of the county commissioners for your support on that issue. Last Tuesday, a week ago from today, that issue passed. I checked with the Board of Elections. The ballot will be certified on February 25th. And on February 25th, I will ask Branstetter and Carroll to then give the city a
May 20th.
yeah.
I'm sorry, May 25th.
That's right.
My months
We know what you
my
meant.
months are running.
That's all right.
My months are running together. The 25th of this month,
Yeah.
and the city will then engage Branstetter and Carroll to take a look at the 69 building in detail to accomplish the needs of the municipal court, including but not limited to the shared security checkpoint, access from the Sally Port into the 69 building, and third, and probably as importantly, the separation of in-custody prisoners, court staff, and the general public, all of which are not present in the existing municipal court. And as many of you know, the city of Medina has been trying to resolve the issues at the Medina Municipal Court for over 2 decades. And this is an answered prayer and opportunity for us to work together with the county, which is beneficial for both political entities as far as cost savings. It's the most efficient, most effective use of the building and the staff. And there's no doubt in my mind that this would serve the needs of the municipal court for 50-plus years. And that's really what the interest of the council and myself are, is that we have this set so in the future, at least a reasonable future, it does not have to be dealt with again versus Band-Aids here or there.
I would...
Well, I didn't know if you want me to mention it or you. The other thing we need to do along with that is have discussions between the city and the county on a lease agreement, and we're eager to get those started as well.
I would propose that we formally take action. We don't have to do it today, but soon, to allow and express our willingness to engage the city of Medina in the discussions about having them in the 69 edition on either a lease or some terms that would give them a long-term home with our council.
We were working with the city for 3 years now on a potential project together, so I'm glad that we can continue on with this.
Thank you.
I'm in favor as well. Move forward.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate it, and we do look forward to working with the city on it. I think it'd be a great,
Thank you very much.
Great project. Anything, Colleen?
We had, I don't know if Amy wanted to talk about it, but we had our McDack grant meeting yesterday, and they're forwarding some recommendations to the commissioners for you to review. Also, we each received a letter from Katie Ritchie, the title company. A lot of people don't know this in the community, but if you are a title worker, you work in this building as much as county employees do. And Frank, who passed away in 2020, had worked in our Medina County Administration building for years and years and years, and he was a beloved member of downstairs employment. And so there's a group of people who would like to order a bench to commemorate him, and they're looking to allow us to put the bench somewhere out here on our property of the county administration building, and I'd like to support that if you would.
Sure.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Scott, you have any concerns with that? Okay. Yeah,
I'm fine.
Good with it.
Good.
Amy may
Amy
want
would
more
not- yeah,
details
with
on the
McDack.
deck.
I apologize for stepping away for a moment.
That's okay.
I did have a handout for you just to go over real quickly, if I may. We had the McDack committee meeting yesterday, and the table that is being passed out, these are the 10 applications that were received for the next funding cycle, which would be July 1 of 21 through June 30 of 22. And they're highlighted in 3 different colors in that left column that correspond with the funding priorities that were discussed at great length and incorporated into the guidelines for those applications this year. So you'll see funding priority number 1 is to ensure that the Medina County Drug Task Force is fully funded at an operational level. And then funding priority 2 is to fund school resource officers. And that was specified as 200 work days to correspond with the school year, primarily. And then the third category would be to fund other grant applications meeting the requirements outlined in Ohio Revised Code. So when you add up the $2.14 million that were asked for and the 1.9 that were available, we were able to accomplish a recommendation to fund those that met the categories 1 and 2, those priorities 1 and 2.
Correct me if had formed a subcommittee to
evaluate
their
yeah,
priorities,
okay.
and
Right.
so for 2021 the priorities were 1 and 2, which were able to be funded.
And I could do a little bit of math smithing to take the percent award out a couple more decimal points so that there is no remainder, so that we allocate that full 1.9. but I just wanted to bring this to your attention that this is the slate that was voted on yesterday and supported by the MCDAC committee members. So with your permission, I may bring it to you for commissioner approval next week.
For resolution next week, yeah.
I do have a question, actually. I guess this is, of course, from the effective date is July 1. I mean, it's a fiscal year, correct? It's not
Correct.
the calendar year.
Correct.
And so secondly, in this last fiscal year, the school resource officers, when schools were not open, many of them were not, was there any money not expended, or basically they were retained and given other duties, and there was no residual, I mean, in other words, there was a grant, none of that money was returned to MCDAC, is that correct?
That is correct, that those officers were repurposed, but because that money had been part of their award and budget process, they were able to repurpose those officers, still doing as much as they could. Wadsworth, for example, we were in school all year.
Right.
So depending on the openings and closures or partial openings and so forth, they did still have a presence in the school as much as they were able to.
Got it.
We only had one awardee last year that had a change in staff that had a particular position unfilled for a period of time, and they are returning to the county a little over $2,000 for monies they were unable to spend, having had a position unfilled for a period of time.
Well, now that everybody's returned, hopefully we don't have to go through this again. So
Correct. And I will compliment everybody on their applications, because they were very thoughtful in structuring their applications, being mindful of the funding priorities, so that they met the objective of the program.
And the drug task force, actually, they flatlined from last year's numbers, so
Right.
they didn't
Correct.
even ask for an increase from last year,
Right.
so.
Yep.
And we did have Prosecutor Thompson review the applications and was able to counsel on a few things that had been included that were not allowable, so they were able to have those removed before they put the summary together, so that we were voting on things that were allowable under the statute.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Thank
This
you,
will
Amy.
be on the
Thank
agenda
you.
for next week?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anything else, Colleen?
I do not have anything.
Steve, do you have anything?
Yeah, I had in your packet, just to make you aware, and we've had prior conversations regarding Scott regarding our relationship with NOACA, Metropolitan Planning Organization, and his ongoing research regarding, if you will, detachment or reassigning our metropolitan planning area. During our discussions the last several weeks, it came to my attention that there's what are called rural transportation planning organizations. Our urbanized area still has to be assigned, which if you look at a map of urbanized area, I probably should have included that, but I know it's in the Long Range Transportation Plan, Chapter 7, has this urbanized area, and which means that basically it's Brunswick, Medina, and of course the Wadsworth area. Other than that, it's a rural area. It's not an urbanized area. They are qualified to be able to become part of a rural transportation planning organization if it adjoins other rural areas, and they would not be subject to NOACA approval. That any kind of transportation improvements, transportation improvement plan would not be subject to NOACA. The NOACA money, that's called basically the allocated money that comes from the federal government, is only for the urbanized area. NOACA, and so one of the scenarios is to look at as, well, maybe our rural area would be able to, if you will, become reassigned to one of these rural transportation planning organizations. Apparently, the committees, the NOACA and the county reviewed it back in 2018. The only person I think that still remembers it or was even around then was Andy Conrad. But I've started that initial discussions to try to get the data and, of course, bring to you. But that's one of the options I think we could certainly take a look at. It means forming being able to do a transportation improvement plan. We wouldn't be subject to the policies that the NOACA board, Cuyahoga County and Cleveland seem to be taking us in that direction, and therefore basically the rural area would no longer be subject to that. So in a way it does look like an option to deal with some of the issues that have been legitimately raised for our rural areas that NOACA, I'd say, that doesn't really represent the rural areas.
So
Yeah.
does that mean part of our county would still stay in NOACA?
But, well, unless we find a way to realign, and that's, like I said, it's one of those options. If we find a way that there's a process to remove ourselves entirely, okay. But if we can't, then Medina and Brunswick and with the new census, the urbanized area would still be subject to it. Our transit system would still be part of the urbanized transit system. But it wouldn't change our votes. It wouldn't change the amount of money that NOACA gets. Maybe there's even an opportunity in the scenario that Wadsworth would then become part of AMATS with the Akron metropolitan area. So, but those are the options. But this is one, at least for the rural areas, might be an option to at least explore. And that's all I'm bringing up. I know I was on a phone or a Zoom with Grace Galucci sometime yesterday, and I know she's going to be bringing it up to the committees in NOACA to kind of revisit this. And I think it's worthwhile to take a look at. It is an option. Obviously, you have to get approval of Federal Highway and ODOT, as well as the local governments. The point is you have the local entities, local governments, more involved with their own transportation planning. The townships in our county would be much more involved with state projects and governance than they would, obviously, maybe people that in rural development areas feel like they have more of a relationship with than the people in downtown Cleveland.
But if we're going to pay dues to an organization, shouldn't we consider the option of moving into AMATS?
Oh, yes. No, I'm not saying we shouldn't discover all those options. This is just as another option if we're not able to. And Scott, as you know, is researching it, finding what it will take to do that. And so this is one that's like, okay, let's see what this other option looks like and exploring it a little bit more. Like I said, it would require the rural area to then go to look for the transportation projects from ODOT and from the federal government as needed. So I think, like I said, it's just one of those of just examining, seeing what the possibilities might be, and see if there's any of our adjoining areas. As we know, the political intents or the political composition of Lorraine County has somewhat changed with the Board of Commissioners over there, and their rural areas are not happy with NOACA either. So who knows? Maybe this is something we just kind of jointly start working with some other parties and make some sense. You can see there's large areas of the state that do have a rural planning. There's Omega, which is the Mid-East Ohio. You got Ohio Valley, you got Maumee Valley, Logan, Champaign, Buckeye Hills is southeastern. So you do have these rural areas that actually are not part of a metropolitan planning organization, and they have their own transportation improvement plans. They have their own governance. They still have to meet federal requirements, but it might make some sense to examine it. And that's all I'm doing is bringing up for discussion.
If we're going to look at options, we might as well look at all the options.
Agreed.
I have had a couple of conversations with Grace Galucci and also with Commissioner Dvorak from Geauga and Commissioner Lundy from Lorraine County about their perspectives, and they all got the letter that Medina County sent out, and are interested in seeing what Medina County does. So we'll continue to work that. And the long-range transportation plan is available. I don't have the link here in front of me, but it is available on the internet. It is 597 pages long. I'm up to page 313. So it's a very interesting read.
And that doesn't include the appendices.
It does not.
Yeah, the appendices.
Lots of data and graphs and so forth, and it's very interesting to see what's included and what's not included in that. So.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Okay. Scott, do you have anything?
Yeah, just real quick, I wanted to update you on the courthouse. So we have the access controls to the front of the building now. We have camera systems up, so we're getting ready for the staging of the work. So next week, I believe they will start removing bushes in preparation to build the ramp to the front door. So we are moving forward. So hopefully, I think in June, they will actually start with some of the excavating and getting fences up, and we'll be moving forward.
So Scott, the fences will be up before Memorial Day or after?
I'm going to say probably after Memorial Day.
Because I got a phone call, I think the vets are planning on doing a ceremony in front of the courthouse on Memorial Day.
Okay, the ramp will probably be, the ramp may be up, the fences won't be up.
Okay.
Around
Is the fence going to be in front of the building or just behind it?
Behind the building.
Just behind the building.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might impact it, but yeah, if you could let me know, I just want to let them know so they can be prepared for.
Okay, yeah, I'll check on that.
Okay.
And let you know.
Thank you.
The other thing I want to let you know is yesterday we did get guidance on the fiscal recovery funds. So it hasn't really changed much from the original intent. Support a public health response, replace public sector revenue loss, water, sewer infrastructure, address negative economic impacts, premium pay for essential workers, and broadband infrastructure. So we're going through it now. They sent out several documents that we're reading through. I know that Amy will be sending a letter out to all the different elected officials and department heads asking for any recommendations or suggestions and needs that they have for use of the funds. So hopefully by May 25th, when we have our meeting, we'll have those recommendations and we'll have a list of things to discuss as well as anything that you bring to the table. So it is very...
Can we get the list in advance so we can review?
Yes. Okay. Yes. It is restrictive. It's a lot more restrictive than I expected. So we will... I'm not saying we won't be able to use the money, but we'll have to be cautious in how it's spent to ensure that we're in compliance with the regulations. So that's all I had.
That's all you have. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Jeremy, anything else?
I got just a few things for your report. All right. We had that North Pump Station bid. We opened bids on Friday. That came in at $516,225. The engineer's estimate was $516,300. So they were within $75, which doesn't happen all that often, it seems. So, but next week I'd like to present that to award. It looks like Workman Industrial is the apparent low bidder for that. So. Quite a few things going on at the solid waste district. Just to bring you up to speed, the inbound scale that we had repaired back in, I think it was like February, we have a new crack and a new section of concrete on the scale. So it's going to be pretty much the same repair that was needed on the previous, probably looking in the $25,000 range for that repair. So
they have to shut the scale down again?
I believe so. So the contractor came out, Breck Bueller, the scale company, they came out on Friday. So I just got the email that they just said it was the same repair and that they would get the quote over to us. So also the fire system at 8700, anytime it seems to rain, it triggers false alarms, just due to the old hardwired system. So Silco is the one that has the system there currently. They're going to be looking at presenting a quote for like an upgraded fire system where it's all remote. There's no hard wires. So we're going to get in that and see what that comes back at. 8730 renovations moving along pretty nice. We originally bid we originally had the bid and then we had to rebid the project because the engineer's estimate was not high enough. So in doing so, the furniture was then left out of the second, or when we rebid it. So there's 2 offices and two conference rooms. So we're looking to see what the cost is going to come back at for furniture there. So that I haven't gotten back yet. And I got working with Steven on the fob system for the new building. Mm-hmm. And that came in at just under $20,000. So that would be part of the loan that we would use for the building there. And GPD just submitted their design service quote for the residential campus upgrade. It's just under $49,000, but that's to redevelop the entire 8730 property to handle residential traffic only. and then we would keep the 8,700 scales open for commercial only to help get that traffic split up. So, so the design services for GPD, I'll probably get a resolution for that to enter into a contract with them next week. So,
Very good.
and then I guess some good news on Mother's Day with the large rains, we ended up only having 4 complaints come into our office with all that rain. So one of them was an issue of ours, but the other 3 were personal. So it's pretty good news, I think. So all that rehab work that we've been doing over the last 7 years seems to be paying off. So
Excellent.
But that's all I got.
Very good.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. One FYI for you, the sheriff's office, Terry, and I wish he would have stuck around, is looking at the radio system. And he has put together a cross-section of fire, law enforcement across the county, and is having them meet fairly regularly to evaluate systems and determine whether they should stay on and continue to invest in the Harris system or try to make a break from it.
Which means looking at the Marks
Right.
system at the state, and is to eventually, I guess, it looks like eventually the state's almost going to compel us to eventually go to that.
Well, the majority of counties, like 76 out of the 88 counties, are on Marks.
I know.
And and so it's being pushed. You know, there was a grant from the state fire marshal's office, so all of the fire departments in the county transitioned over to Marks. And part of the reason why, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, part of the reason why the county went with the Harris system was to support the local fire departments, because they didn't have the money to convert. So now they got the money to convert. Now they're coming back and saying, we want the county to
Are
convert.
they, in their discussions, are they talking about how we're going to pay for this, or?
Well, you know, one of the things is there was some hope that the American Rescue Plan money would be available for something
Doesn't look
this.
like it, though,
I don't
does
know
it?
if it is or not. But
Well, in the budget, they put in, traditionally, the state pays half the cost, had been paying half the cost,
They're
and they
paying-
eliminated that. And now there's a push to, actually, those groups are also now pushing that they would, this is the monthly cost.
Correct.
Right.
The per unit cost. Right.
Exactly, and so I think that they've been saying, too, if we're going to compel people, then the state ought to be picking up almost all the cost. This sounds like a
'Cause it affects the
indigent defense
schools.
kind of argument.
It affects the schools' budgets too, right?
Yes.
Don't they have radios?
Many of
Yes.
the schools have radios. Some of the buses have radios. So it's a whole systemic issue.
The funny thing is, and I know Representative Ray put in as a budget amendment, didn't get, wasn't able to be accomplished because they pushed back, is requiring interoperability. And that is the biggest issue.
It
And
is.
putting some grant into that actually would allow the Harris system to also coexist and utilize Marks. And unfortunately, as you pointed out, it's a monopoly and it's proprietary, and there's huge resistance not to allow other systems to talk to one another. And that is the big issue here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, the state patrols on the MARC system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they have a multi-jurisdictional chase or pursuit, there are issues with handing off and contacting other departments to assist. So, but anyway, I just want to make you aware that the sheriff's department is looking at this, and
okay,
we'll go from there.
Can I say something real quick about
Sure.
that? So yeah, I just want to say real quick, we still have over $1 million in debt outstanding on the radio system. And with the towers that we just put up, we are probably at about $2.8 million invested in the current radio system. So to move to a new radio system at this point in time, we've thrown the $2.8 million really out the window. And to fund it, I know one of the reasons we were unable to go to Marks was we had the fire stations. We also didn't have radio coverage because we would have had to have built, I think it was 3 towers at about $1 million a piece. So, I don't know where they're at now as far as radio coverage, but, if we have to build another tower, purchase new radios, we're talking millions of dollars again. And I don't know, we might be able to, with the American Recovery monies, we might be able to justify it, but again, like I said previously, we'll have to be pretty cautious in how we spend it to ensure that we're in compliance, because if we're not in compliance, we have to report, I think, on a quarterly basis. And if they find we're not in compliance, we'll have to repay the money. So that's...
So as I understand it, all the radios can be converted. So it's not, it's really the big issue is towers.
Towers
And the debt.
And
the
the monthly
debt.
cost.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I just want to make you
Yeah,
aware
sure. Thank
that
you.
that's
Thank you.
under discussion. Anything else? All right. We are going to go into executive session at 10:58, and then we will return and adjourn. Okay, we are out of executive session at 11:26. And could I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Thank you very much and have a great week.
So I didn't get to see the notice.